Ladies and gentlegrams, today's episode is recorded in a
red rose white ceiling. I'm in that red rose white ceiling.
I be rocking my Kobe's. I be in a red rose white ceiling.
Red rose white ceiling. Red rose white ceiling. Red rose white ceiling. I ain't freestyling in a minute. You know what I'm saying? I'm polish my skills off. Let me see what I can come up with. Let me see. Let's check it. Look. Red rose, white ceiling.
The Game has got back on Instagram to tell us how he's feeling, hilariously hating, haunted by the love Los Angeles lens Lamar. Yes, Jayceon Taylor, the documentary maker, is the West's best hater. Sad he didn't reach his full potential, and possibly because his bread's low, he's now resorted to beefing legends of the West Coast. His confidence lower than the white ceiling on his red rose.
Red rose, white ceiling.
Now make that like and subscribe button glisten, open your eyes and ears and listen to the latest tale of the Game acting more immature than his children. Now, lobbies and gentlegrams, we got some very serious issues to unpack about our good friend Mr. Red Rose White Ceiling.
Red rose, white ceiling.
See, the Game played the game in the exact opposite way that he should have on all fronts. I mean, if you break it down, this man came into the game 20 years ago selling 500,000 copies in the first week with his debut album. He had Eminem behind him, 50 Cent behind him, Dr. Dre behind him. His debut album was a classic off the rip. I think it's like 5 times platinum. Do you know how hard it is for your debut album to go 5 times platinum? I think the Game sold more in his first week with the documentary than Kanye West did with the College Dropout in his first week. And they both came out around the same time. That's why I'm bringing them up. And both of them made some horrible decisions, which led them both to become the 2 biggest haters in hip-hop right now. And they both had so much potential to change the game when they first came in the game. And there's a lot of parallels between them because while both of them had major cosigns coming into hip-hop, Kanye, of course, with Jay-Z backing him, the Game with Dr. Dre and 50 Cent backing him. I say that they both came into the Game with the odds stacked against them because, while of course Kanye didn't embody the gangster persona that dominated that era within hip-hop, the Game most definitely did. However, what separated him was his West Coast lineage. Back then, 2005, there wasn't really much noise coming out of the West Coast, right? Of course, 90s legends like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, they were kind of entering the later stages of their career. You had legends like Tupac, who of course tragically lost his life, and it was really New York and the South that had hip-hop in a chokehold in this 2000s era. 50 Cent, Jay-Z, the Diplomats, Rockefeller, or then in the South you had Outkast, Lil Wayne, Ludacris, Jeezy, T.I., etc. There wasn't a single rapper that emerged in the 2000s that hailed from the West Coast and embodied LA culture and sound aside from the Game. In the 2010s, we'd see a reemergence from the West Coast with the likes of Kendrick, all of TDE really, YG, Nipsey Hussle, DJ Mustard, etc. But in the 2000s, it was all about the South and the East. And the only one with the West Coast on their back was the Game. And again, he did a great job at the beginning of restoring the feeling that we got from West Coast legends in the 90s, giving hope to West Coast hip-hop fans that a new era was emerging. And he most definitely had the torch, right? His debut album, documentary, boom, instant classic. He gets dropped from G-Unit. The odds are even more stacked against him because at first it was just, okay, this West Coast rapper is trying to fit in an era where New York and the South are dominating. Now it's like, nah, this West Coast rapper who was signed to probably the biggest record label at the time and had his biggest hits given to him by the biggest artist at the time, 50 Cent, was now dropped from that label, excommunicated. But he doubles down, comes back with a dope project, The Doctor's Advocate. But after The Doctor's Advocate is where things kind of went downhill. Now, this video isn't necessarily to break down, the downfall of the Game or analyze his whole career. I could do a video, if you guys want, where we kind of take a look at the key elements that held the Game back throughout his career. But this video is more so to highlight that before there was a Kendrick Lamar, the Game had the opportunity to have the West Coast on his back and be a leader of his generation. What Kanye is to Chicago, Game could have been to LA. What Drake is to Canada, Game could have been to LA. What Wayne is to New Orleans, Game could have been to LA. What Kendrick is right now to LA, this all could have been the Game, but it was hate, jealousy, and lies that left the Game's career tumbling like dead flies, or dry like an old piece of rye. So let's unpack why the Game is the biggest hater.
I'm in that red rose white ceiling.
So, Complex Magazine recently published a list of the top 50 LA rappers of all time. If you know anything about Complex, then you know that this list is about to be terrible. But you also know that they probably make these lists terrible on purpose because not only do they rage bait the fans, they also rage bait rappers. We saw Wale back in 2013 call into Complex, and I forget, he might have even gone in the building, the Complex building, to give the staff hell for not ranking his album that year, The Gifted, as one of the best rap albums of the year. Last year around this time, they ranked the best Atlanta rappers of all time. I had a video on that. You guys could check it out. But this year, they're ranking the top 50 LA rappers. And already, to start the list off, it's looking horrible. They have Blueface at number 50 of the best LA rappers of all time. And the reason for why he belongs on this list is because he quote-unquote became a viral sensation for blending an unorthodox rap style with hit-making prowess and gonzo antics. So I didn't know that all you need to do to become one of the best rappers out of LA is concoct a bunch of antics. But The Game and Blueface don't only share a manager in WAC 100, they also share the fact that both of them concoct a lot of antics. The Game has just been doing it for a lot longer, so maybe for that reason alone, he deserves a higher placement on this list. And I want to take you guys through a couple of the absurdities of this list. Firstly, Ab-Soul from TDE, of course, is at number 43. Now, maybe you can make the argument Ab-Soul doesn't necessarily have the commercial appeal or chart-topping success or numbers to back up a higher placement on this list. But let's take a look at a couple rappers who make the list long above Ab-Soul. And you guys tell me if they got it right here. So keep in mind, Ab-Soul's at 43. At number 30, you have 03 Greedo. Do you guys think 03 Greedo is a better rapper than Ab-Soul? And I mean, shout out to J-Rock, but they have him at number 29 in terms of the best LA rappers of all time. I think personally Ab-Soul definitely ranks higher than him, but you guys let me know in the comments. Hey, this is even more absurd. I'm kind of going through this one by one. I haven't actually fully reviewed this list except for the top 10, and that's why Game is mad, which we're going to touch on very shortly. But at number 28 is Roddy Ricch. You guys think Roddy Ricch deserves to be 15 placements above Ab-Soul in terms of the best LA rappers of all time? At number 26 is Doja Cat. Is Doja Cat? I didn't even know Doja Cat was from LA. They say her reason for being on this list is she's the most commercially successful female rapper to come out of LA. And honestly, that's pretty fair, but it's like, what the hell has Doja Cat actually done for LA rap music, right? Maybe I'm sleeping on her, and she's definitely talented, but I mean, to me, like, I've only really heard her pop music, right? Does she deserve to be this much higher on the list compared to an Ab-Soul or a J-Rock or Daz Dillinger? One spot above her, you have Tyga. Then Draco the Ruler, Vince Staples, Earl Sweatshirt. Number 17, we have Schoolboy Q. At number 15, you got YG. At number 14, you got Exhibit. At number 13, Corrupt. 12, MC8. And number 11 is none other than The Game. So you can probably imagine already off the rip why he's a little bit pissed off, right? I mean, number 11. Whether you think he deserves higher or lower, I mean, to put him one spot below the top 10 is definitely sending a very clear message here. Like, hey, Game, you're a great rapper, right? Almost the best, but not quite there. You never truly got quite there, buddy. That's like, bro, I remember like in grade 9. By the way, in Canada, we don't do like A, B's, and C grades in school. It's like percentage. So you had to get a 75% in math if in grade 10, you wanted to be in like the higher group of math. If you got under a 75, you were in the lower group of math. So my teacher in grade 9, she did not like me, right? And so I'm doing my exam, whatever. I get it back. I get a 73%. It's like, bro, you couldn't have found 2% worth of points to give me just so I could have been in like the upper tier, the higher levels of math class for grade 10 and all that. Like I had to go to summer school to do the higher levels of math so I could catch up just because she couldn't give me the extra 2%. That's the educational equivalent of putting Game at number 11 on the greatest rappers of LA list, right? And of course, Game was not happy about this. He went on a massive Instagram rant as he normally does, but let's look at the top 10 real quick and see if he deserves a spot above any of these rappers. So at number 10, you had Nipsey Hussle. Number 9 was Eazy-E. Number 8 is Be Real. 7 is Ice-T. Number 6, DJ Quick. 5, Tyler, the Creator. That's kind of interesting. And I think that's recency bias, to be honest. Like, I would argue that The Game has a better classic album than Tyler, the Creator. If you want to give Tyler a classic, you could say maybe Flower Boy, maybe Igor, but like, the documentary clears both those albums. Then you had Doctor's Advocate, Jesus Piece, the documentary 2, 2.5. Like, these are all very strong albums and have that classic LA sound, right? Like, is Tyler really that much better of an LA rapper than The Game? I don't know. At number 4, Dr. Dre. That makes sense completely. Number 3, Ice Cube. Completely makes sense. Number 2, Snoop Dogg. And number 1 is none other than Kendrick Lamar. And this is why I think The Game was the only rapper to respond to this list, because The Game has had a little bit of a dilemma with Mr. Duckworth, all right, for the last few years now. There has been jealousy there, lingering and tingling and flingling and fingering. See, The Game has always been very open, very accepting, very, I don't know the right word, but he's always embraced LA artists, especially the ones who are younger than him. He passed Kendrick that torch at the House of Blues in 2011. He had Kendrick early on before Section 80 on his album, the Red Album, or maybe it came out around the same time as Section 80. They have a song together. I think it's called The City or My City. That was an amazing song. I haven't heard that song in ages though. But Kendrick low-key washes the game on that track. That was again early on, like 2011. He's embraced Nipsey Hussle, Tyga, YG, Tyler the Creator early on. I mean, even has a song with Ray Vaughn from like September of 2024. That was before the whole Joey Badman beef, before Ray Vaughn's debut album. So, I mean, regardless of his issues with Kendrick here, he's still on good terms with, I guess, TDE, right? Because he's working with Ray Vaughn. He's always embraced the new generation of LA talent. The game definitely shows a lot of love, but he also has a lot of hate in his heart. It's kind of like he's just a very emotional dude. And I really think Kendrick Lamar kind of embodied everything the game wanted to be, right? At the time that Kendrick Lamar became the hottest rapper on the West Coast, there wasn't much going on within the West Coast as well, right? This was around 2011, I guess you could say. The blog era was emerging, right? The game was still dropping music, but it wasn't nearly as big as his earlier years. He never really lived up to the potential, right? And then boom, Kendrick Lamar comes out with this massive major label debut album, Good Kid, Mad City. Very reminiscent to the Game's album, The Documentary, right? Both incorporate that West Coast sound. Both are telling the story of the individual artists come up. I mean, Kendrick structured Good Kid, Mad City to basically be a documentary about him growing up within Compton, and the Game's album is literally called The Documentary and details his come up within Compton, right? So kind of similar in concept and very similar in terms of the success that both of them had right off the gate, right? Both of them, the major cosign from Dr. Dre right off the rip. Both of them have that Dr. Dre production on their debut albums. Their debut albums go on to do massive numbers, both Kendrick and the Game. The only difference is Kendrick continued to elevate his sound, elevate his success, build up the momentum of his debut, while the Game didn't necessarily do that, right? And along the way, he disrespected many of the legends that came before him, including the very same legends that helped usher him into the game.
Too much 50 Cent, not enough West Coast rap. 50 Cent. JC. I said JC. You old ass. You old ass. I will. When have you ever heard an Eminem song in the club? I don't hear Eminem in the streets. I'm just a better rapper.
So let's get into the Game's response here and why really this is all truly rooted in jealousy and animosity against Kendrick Lamar and where his career ended up versus Kendrick's. But first, Lawbreeds and Gentlegrams, unlike Drake, a bunch of you guys have been telling me you've been Anita Max winning some free cash from playing mobile games. So I want to put all you guys on to something that almost seems too good to be true. All right, let me give you a little glimpse into my life. When I'm not making this content for you guys, I have a disgusting addiction to my phone. My daily screen time is higher than Drake on that album cover, higher than Snoop off the edibles. So if you guys suffer that same addiction as me, I want to put you onto something that's going to change your life. FreeCash.com is a program that partners with mobile games that are looking for more users to play their games, and they will literally pay you to play their games for free. All you got to do is sign up using the QR code you see on the screen or using the link in the description of this video. You make an account super easy. All you got to do is put in your email, create a password, verify your email, and then you're good to go. And they got a bunch of games. My favorite is the Monopoly Go because we're always on the go trying to make some money. Once you make an account, you just click the game you want to play, follow the directions that they give you. The directions are super easy. Usually you just got to download the game and start playing. So it's about time you put that phone addiction to good use. Again, use the QR code you see on the screen or the link in my description. Create an account and you could start making more than $150 just to play a game on your phone. So again, the Game at number 11 on the best rappers in LA of all time. He is not happy about it. He posts the list on his Instagram with a bunch of detective face emojis. Then he posts Complex smoking that good dope, laughing emojis. Then he posts Game at 11 is nasty work. I'll bust that whole list, but all the motivation I needed to finish the documentary 3. Y'all got Game effed up. Now listen, hey, I mean, you guys probably don't care about my opinion. You're not asking for it, but I'll give it to you anyways. I would definitely say you can at least put the Game above Tyler the Creator on a list like this. I would even say, to be honest, above Nipsey Hussle as well. I think the Game has better albums than Nipsey Hussle. I think he's given us bigger moments than Nipsey Hussle. Has he done as much for his community as Nipsey? Honestly, I'm not really sure. I don't know about the charity work the Game has done. However, I think Nipsey took a lot of inspiration from the game as well, right? The game came before him. He kind of laid the groundwork, the foundation for what the YGs and the Nipseys ended up doing in the 2010s. The game, of course, has bigger hits, better diss tracks as well, 300 bars. I definitely think they're sleeping on the game here, but honestly, at this point in the game's career, it kind of makes sense, man. I mean, the game has just, over the years, burnt almost every bridge up to the level of antics year after year, set the bar lower and lower in terms of quality on each new project that he drops. I think the last one was like 3 years ago, his album Drillmatic, then Born to Rap. There was one of them where he was dissing Eminem for like 9 minutes straight on a song, but it was also like you couldn't tell if he was paying homage to Eminem or dissing him. He went on Drinks Champs saying that Kanye West in 2 weeks did more for his entire career than Dr. Dre did. He was walking around acting like Kanye was a sugar daddy, gifting him chrome Maybachs and Mustache Man sweatshirts. He lost his entire record label and the rights to his music because he got sued for $7 million from a woman who was on a game show he was hosting and decided not to show up to court to fight it. I have a whole video breaking that down if you guys want to see. And aside from the antics, aside from all the beefs, the disrespect of the very people that brought him into the game, like a Dr. Dre, Eminem, 50 Cent, the game is also a perpetual habitual liar.
We're going to get the best and most extravagant lies we've ever heard in our lives on this episode.
It's crazy that Ye did more for me in the last 2 weeks than Dre did for me my whole career.
Boy, if you don't get
Dr. Dre out here in the game neighborhood, doing it real big.
So overall, if this happens to a tour, it becomes a tour, would you be involved?
If it was a tour,
Yeah, it becomes a tour.
if the money was right,
first line, nigga, you gon' get involved, you ain't doing shit else.
That's the right answer. You're supposed to say yes.
nah, I can't say yes to that because I got.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this.
Bin Laden.
It was. He had
SEAL
one,
Team 6.
He had one blood in the AirPods. Yeah.
That's another line that he was listening to Red Nation, not One Blood. Next line, let's go. Let's keep going, y'all.
Because it's the game talking. And this is not a shot at him, but he's very extra. Like he lie.
Sitting there while this Irv like edited Ashanti videos, and I'm sitting
Was he
there.
on ecstasy at the time?
I don't know. I don't know.
That nigga line, you know, everybody knew damn well Ja Rule was off Henny and ecstasy every day.
I'm traveling everywhere I go with 70 bloods. Ain't everywhere. And
Hold on. First of all, half of my can't even get on a plane to fly out with felonies. This no 70 bloods with no felonies? This lying.
We're going to get the best and most extravagant lies we've ever heard in our lives on this.
I got my I'm doing some old Darkwing Duck behind the back shooting. I ain't know what I.
Oh, he's Soldier Boy now. This lying.
Pistol. Okay. I started shooting at all of them. The first nigga I missed, he ducked and ran out the house. The second nigga I hit him. The third nigga I hit him. I hit him like 5 times.
In your own shit, you was like, you're 36, you still rapping?
Yeah, my up. That was too early. I thought, yo, I know that.
Yeah, not only
from a young nigga.
lying, this nigga contradictive, man. He's not only lying, contradictive.
You 38 and you still rapping.
I don't over promote. I don't even give a if one buy it. This Drillmatic.
He don't care if one nigga buy it. This lying. He got kids, bro. He still got money to make.
And they know we down there at this point because we 70 deep. Oh, by the way, this is one of the coldest nights in New York. Freezing snow is in Converse. Niggas is in Converse. 6, 7 inches of snow. Niggas in Converse.
So we supposed to believe this was in Converse in the snow, 6 inches. This lying.
Aside from the lying, aside from the antics, aside from the beefing, aside from the disrespect, aside from the lower and lower quality in actual music over the last damn near decade, over the last year, there has been an immense jealousy over Kendrick Lamar's success. See, we're talking about the West Coast, right? We're talking about the parallels in the early stages of the game's career and Kendrick Lamar's career. We're talking about how both of them at one point in time had that torch to carry on the legacy of West Coast hip-hop. And it was really in 2024 where Kendrick certified and established that he was taking things way farther than the game ever has or ever could, making the most West Coast sounding diss track of all time, also by far the most successful diss track of all time, making a West Coast sounding album, his first one with GNX, bringing on a bunch of local underground LA artists onto that project, hosting the pop-out show. All these massive moments for the West Coast, so much so to the point where Joey Batman had to start 2025 off saying there was way too much West Coast D-looking in 2024. And I mean, I showed you guys a clip, right? The game always likes to come at the guy with the crown. Either that or he's glazing the guy with the crown, right? Like when Lil Wayne was at the top of the game was inheriting Wayne's beefs with Young Thug just to say he's behind him. He did the same thing with Tyga's beefs with Lil Durk. And of course, Tyga was signed to Lil Wayne. Now he's doing the same thing with Drake's beef with Kendrick. You guys probably forget, but the game actually jumped into that whole 20v1 to diss Rick Ross for no apparent reason aside from the fact that Rick Ross was dissing Drake. Of course, we've seen him glaze Kanye West over the past few weeks. Now they're beefing, I believe, over Drake's glazer, top 5. A whole lot of glazing going on here. But yeah, he was walking around like Kanye was his sugar daddy, right? If you guys didn't see a few weeks ago, because the game deleted all those posts, but all his Instagram was flooded with was pictures of Kanye West Mustache Man sweatshirts, and the 2 chrome Maybachs that Kanye West gifted the game. You would have thought that the game was like Kanye's wife or something by the amount of Kanye crap he was posting, except the game was wearing a lot more clothing than Kanye's wife ever does. But yeah, so he's either, going 10 on 10 hard on the glazing of whoever's got the crown, the top guy in the game, or he's hating on them. Look at how he was hating on 50, Jay-Z, Eminem, Dr. Dre. Now we're seeing it with Kendrick, right? The whole Dr. Dre hate, I believe, stemmed from the Super Bowl halftime show when Dr. Dre had invited a bunch of his proteges to come perform with him. Snoop, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick, 50 Cent, Eminem. The game was noticeably missing, and he was most definitely not happy about it. What else was he missing from? Well, the most massive West Coast moment we have seen in ages, the pop-out concert. I don't think I need to list you the long list of LA rappers, or West Coast rappers in general, who were at that show, right? The only one missing, I believe, was Snoop Dogg because, well, I don't remember the exact reason, but I remember him saying, like, there was a specific reason why he didn't make it. But the one who noticeably did not get an invitation to that show was the game. And you would think, right? The Super Bowl is one thing, right? If Dr. Dre doesn't invite the game to the Super Bowl, there's a limited amount of time for that set list. It makes sense that, not everybody who has worked with Dre can get a slot on that performance. But, I mean, the pop-out show, you were having everyone on that stage. The game not being there was kind of a statement to how the biggest artists on the West Coast currently feel about the game. Whether it was Dr. Dre's idea, TDE's idea, Kendrick's idea, whoever, the game did not get an invitation to that. And he was very upset. He went on a 15-minute rant about Kendrick Lamar, about his place within the West Coast, his legacy on the West Coast. And I mean, I'll show you guys this rant, but it doesn't really accomplish much. I mean, the game just likes to talk a lot of crap on Instagram. That's the whole point of this video.
And I've been in this motherfucker since 2003, right? Because that's when I got signed to Aftermath, 2003. If you ask anybody, anybody that really know me that's in this motherfucker industry, and go ask Dr. Dre, man. Like, sit Dr. Dre down and really ask that about who I am and my character and, like what he really feel about me at the end of the day as a man. So if you could ask Nip himself, he would have told you, and he did tell you out his own mouth, what, I contributed, to his career. Coming straight out of West Side, Cedar Block, Bompton, and Top Dog know what it is, Kendrick know what it is, Mustard know what it is, Ty Dolla $ign know what it is, Dr. Dre know what it is. Snoop know what it is.
He was also asked about why he didn't make it onto the pop-out stage, and this is what he had to say.
They asked me to ask you about this whole Kendrick Lamar thing, like you being from Compton and like not being at the concert or in the video. Do you think it's because your relationship with Drake and that because you with Drake that you weren't there?
Kendrick and Drake's beef wasn't about me. It wasn't my beef. And as far as the pop out, I think that Kendrick had everything that he needed for that day to be successful. Kendrick don't need game certification or game to show up for nothing. Like, he doing amazing for himself. Snoop is the top of the top as far as West Coast is concerned. Snoop and Game were there when it was time to pass Kendrick the torch. People forget about that. Anytime a mother is bringing the West Coast or the West Side together, like, I support that.
And all in all, you're seeing a long pattern of jealousy of whoever's at the top, right? And envy over the missed potential, if that's the right term, for what the game could have been and everything he's seen Kendrick become right now. The game was never able to be that top guy. He always just found himself either hating on the top guy or extremely glazing over the top guy. There was never a moment, except for that short period on his debut album, where he was the top guy, the one leading the culture. And even then, I mean, he was still back behind 50, right? But in terms of the West Coast, he had that torch. And it's sad to say when you line up his career compared to Kendrick's, the game kind of fumbled it. And that's why he's ironically placed at number 11 on this list of the top 50 LA rappers of all time. And as he watches all his peers above him in that top 10 list, you gotta imagine he's thinking to himself, I have way more projects than these guys, way more songs than these guys, arguably a lot more hits than most of these guys above me on this list. Arguably more accolades, more awards, whatever you want to quantify to measure the game's impact and success within West Coast hip hop. He's got a lot of it. He's got a major output, a massive catalog, a classic album under his belt, but somehow constantly gets overlooked. Never gets the respect that he probably feels like he deserves. Has never had a moment as close to the moment Kendrick had in 2024, but had all the resources to be able to do it. And arguably had the skill set to be able to be maybe not as big as Kendrick. Maybe he never had the ability to create, To Pimp a Butterfly, but there's no denying that there's a lot of wasted potential here. And it all stems from, again, the hate, the jealousy, and the lies throughout the game's career. And for that reason, no matter how great the game's career has been, they're still going to slide him by putting him one spot below that top 10 list. They're still going to slide him by purposely leaving him off set list for the biggest West Coast concert in the last 5-10 years. And because of that, the hate, the envy, the jealousy, the lying only continues to grow. So let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one.
Red rose, white ceiling.